Yo, what up, team? Happy Friday. I hope that you guys are having a magnificent, or I should say, fantastic start to your day so far. Before we crack into our workout today, guys, we are going to go through our question of the day. So, our question of the day that I have for you today is if you could be sponsored by one company in the world and get all of the perks from that company or being sponsored by that company, what would that company be? Okay. For me, myself, and I, it's a big toss up. There's two different companies. One, I'd like to say Rogue, but that would only be if I got free equipment and free gear all to my disposal. So like they'd be one of mine. The second company would be whether it be like Air New Zealand or some other airline. That would be my sponsorship if they gave free flights. So those would be like the two areas that I definitely choose and go to for sponsors. But if it had to be local, Troy, where you at? I totally want to be sponsored by Bacon Bros. Just saying that. But for now, guys, we are going to crack into what we have for our workout today. So we have three parts to our workout today, guys. Part one is going to be an EMOM. Part two is a classic benchmark with a little bit of a twist. And part three is a bit of a midline finisher. So part one of our workout today, guys, is a 9. Right, so with this EMOM today, guys, it's going to be a 9-minute EMOM of gymnastics-based movements. So in minute 1, we are going to do 3 to 5 reps of a handstand push-up progression. In minute 2, we're going to do 3 to 5 reps on each side of our body of a pistol progression. And then in minute 3, we are going to be holding a plank for 45 seconds. So with our progressions today, guys, especially when it comes to the handstand, especially when it comes to the pistol, I want you guys to go with something that is more challenging. So I want you guys to try and scale up a little bit this week and go for that challenging movement. So whether that be doing a weighted pistol, or you can even take those pistols and do them as pause pistols with the handstand push-up. If you typically do something like your pike on the floor, I want you to try and go from a pike on a chair or a couch or a box or whatever you might have at your disposal. If you typically do kipping handstand push-ups against a wall, I want you to try and go for strict handstand push-ups against a wall. If those are both in your wheelhouse, maybe you go from a deficit. For that deficit, you can get some books, stack them up on each other, just make sure that they're even, and go from that deficit that way. So there's lots of options with this today, but I want you guys to try and challenge yourselves. Go with the option that you normally wouldn't, and see how you go with that. Okay. With that plank's pretty straightforward. We're going to hold it for 45 seconds. If you find that 45 seconds is too simple, if you want to make it a little bit more challenging, chuck some weight on your back. So that'd be a way to make it a little bit more challenging with this progression. Now, after we've gone through this progression today, guys, we are going to have ourselves a classic benchmark WOD, but we're also taking a little bit of a twist on this piece from home. So today, we are going to be performing Nancy. Nancy typically is 5 rounds for time of a 400-meter run and 15 overhead squats. But our home edition today is going to be 5 rounds for time of a 400-meter backpack run and 15 backpack overhead squats, with one caveat that each time we break up those overhead squats, we're going to be performing 5 burpees. So with this workout today, guys, it's meant to be light. It's meant to be fast. With that backpack run and with those overhead squats, the load in that backpack should be something, ideally, from a squat perspective, that allows us to get through those 15 reps unbroken each time and each round. Okay. With this, keeping in mind when we go out for that run today, guys, 400-meter run usually lasts about 2 minutes. I want you guys to really try and push that pace so that you get in under those 2 minutes. So that possibly, I know some of you guys who are really fast, you might even get through that 400-meter run in a minute 30 today. I do want you guys pushing that pace. Your lunge should be burning, the legs should be burning, but today especially is the kind of workout that challenges that lung capacity and challenges our breathing. So I want you guys to really, really try and focus on your breathing. A good time to do that will be during those overhead squats. So something I like to think about with these overhead squats, remember to breathe or inhale at the top of each rep, set that brace, get that tummy tight, squat down, stand up, exhale, inhale again. So use the top of each rep to find your breath again, and that'll help you kind of keep that under control as you're cycling through those reps today. Okay, now after we're done this workout, we're going to have ourselves a little bit of a finisher. This finisher is a not so optional finisher. So with this finisher today, guys, we are going to be going through and accumulating 3 minutes in a hollow hold. The reason being is we want to still keep on working on refining that midline strength, and it's going to have a lot of carryover to our gymnastics movements as a broad sense, but it's also going to carry over into our ability to move a barbell safely and efficiently and effectively, and to be able to create and sustain tension, especially once we get back into the gym. So we're going to have this finisher. We're going to perform it for quality. I want you guys to choose a progression as you do this hollow hold today that is quite challenging, and try and stick with that progression. So even if it means that you have to break it up a little bit more often, that's okay with me. I want you guys to pick that thing that is going to be a little bit more challenging for you today and move with that. I hope that you guys have fun with this workout today, team. Let's get after it. Peace. Beautiful. All right, team. So first movement that we have today is our handstand push-up. With this, guys, I want you to choose a progression that is going to be challenging for those 3 to 5 reps today. So whether that looks like doing a strict handstand push-up, going from a deficit, or doing kipping handstand push-ups, whatever it is, I want you guys to choose that challenging variation. Even along that scheme, we'll talk about our pike. We'll talk about the pike up on the box as well too. So our first one that we're going to look at today is going to be our kipping handstand push-up against the wall. So from here, guys, we're going to kick up against the wall. We're focusing on keeping that tripod position. We're going to lower ourselves down to the floor, shoot the elbows across the room. From here, we're tucking the knees to the chest and then kicking right up towards the ceiling, pressing out of that position, just like Danny's here. So I want you to think knees to chest, hips to wall, and big kick. Okay. Good. That handstand push-up. If we really want to be working some strength here, we can do our negative. So with this, guys, we can focus on kicking up to the wall and then lowering ourselves down under control, kicking back out and then kicking back up to the wall. So we can do this negative. We can do about a 3-second control down to the bottom of that mat, kick off the wall, and then kick back up, and go through our reps these way as well too, if we just want to develop that strength or that eccentric strength through that range of motion, so that it can carry over to our ability to do our handstand push-ups through the full range of motion as well. All right, team. So with our handstand push-ups today, we also have the option of going from a box or an elevated surface. So the first option that we have is to go from the knees, like Danny's demonstrating here in this pike position. So she's still getting that tripod position with the head in front of the hands. She's pressing that floor away and coming up to full extension at the top of each rep. So if we want to make this harder, this is where we can pop up onto our feet, and then all the same principles apply. Getting that head, touching it slightly in front of those hands, creating that tripod position, and pressing that floor away to full extension. Another movement that we can do and that we can look at today, guys, is doing this handstand push-up from a pike position on the floor. So with this, what we're looking at doing, guys, is putting those feet out nice and wide as we would in our sumo stance. Then we're going to come up onto our tippy toes, drive those hips up towards the ceiling as high as we can. From here, we're still creating that tripod position. So when Danny lowers her head, it's going to come down slightly in front of her hands, and then she's going to press that floor away to full extension up at the top of each rep. That whole time, I want you guys to really focus on creating that tripod position with those hands as you press the floor away and touch that head to the ground. All right, so first movement that we're coming at you with today is our pistol squat. So with that pistol today, guys, there's heaps of variations that we can do. Danny's going to give us a few demonstrations of what we're looking for with our standard pistol. But with this today, guys, as we do it, no matter what progression that we pick, I want you guys to pick something that's going to challenge you more. So with these pistols today, whether that's doing them as weighted, whether that's doing body weight, whether that's doing a step down off of a raised surface, whether that's even doing that heel to toe squat, which will show you guys a couple of demonstrations of these movements. I want you guys to pick the one that's going to challenge you the most, so you can get those 3 to 5 reps with that challenging progression today. So Danny's going to show us a couple reps with the pistol squat today. With this, guys, remember that we're driving hard through that heel as we go down, and then if we want to, we're allowed to hinge a little bit more forward so that we can counterbalance. And then as we stand up, I want you guys to think about pulling that knee to the wall behind you and rocking forward, okay? So that's what we're doing with our pistols today. Now, for a couple of our progressions that we have with our heel to toe progression. What you're going to do is you're going to put your heel on the back of your toe, just like Danny's doing here, and then you're still going to allow yourself to hinge forward a bit. You're sending those hips back and down, going into the bottom of that squat position, just as you would with that pistol. Okay, so that's one of the options that we do have on deck today, guys. It's really, really good for still developing that strength in that leg that you'll need to go towards your pistol. We'll talk about. All right, guys. So for our next progression that we have, it's our lateral step down on that lock. So from here, we're still folding forward as we would, sending those hips down and back, and then we're driving that heel through the floor to make it harder. This is where you guys can start to bring that leg out in front of you, just as you would with the pistol. It's going to be completely up to you guys and how far you want to challenge yourself with this and how high of a surface that you have. This is another progression that you can go through today. Alright guys, so our next movement that we have today is our plank. So with this, guys, remembering that we're driving those elbows through the floor, we're keeping that tummy tight by pulling that ribcage to the pelvis, we're squeezing those glutes on, and we're keeping this tabletop back the whole time today. I want you guys to create as much tension as you possibly can in this position so that you can get the most out of this exercise. If you need a better base of support, you can put your feet out a little wider. If you want to make it more challenging, bring those feet in right together, or go up onto the hands as well. Okay? Have fun with this piece. And then hollow hold. Alright guys, so our next movement that we have today is our overhead squat. With our overhead squat today, guys, all the mechanics of our air squat applies, and now we just have that object up overhead. So with here, we're going to start off by bringing that object, whether it be our backpack or dumbbell, or a barbell or a kettlebell, from the ground to overhead. So a jump and catch and punch overhead. From here, we're going to lock those arms out. We're going to lock those arms out. From here, guys, we are going to initiate this movement by sending the hips back and down, driving those knees out nice and wide. Okay, so that whole time we're driving those knees out to the opposite side of the room. We're punching those arms straight up overhead, trying to keep the biceps almost in line with the ears. We're keeping that tummy tight. We're squeezing those glutes on as hard as we can, and we're driving that floor weight up to full extension. Thanks, baby. All right, guys, so our next movement that we have is our burpee today. So each time that you guys break up those overhead squats today, you are going to be doing 5 burpees. So with this burpee, remember, we are starting this movement from the top down. So from here, we're going to plant those hands down on the ground as we would in the top of a press up, shoot the feet back, get that chest down to the deck, and then press that floor away, snap the feet up to the hands, stand and jump to full extension. Just like Danny's doing here. She's gonna show us 2 reps from the side as well too here, guys, so that you guys can see with each of those reps, she's getting full extension, right? We don't want to see those crap reps where she's half bent over when she jumps. That's not a burpee, guys. So I want you guys to make sure that you get your full extension on each of those reps. Come at you, Bernard. All right, team, so our next movement that we have today is our hollow hold. So with the hollow hold, guys, we are pressing that low back through the floor, pulling those rib cage to the pelvis, shoulders are up off the ground. We're squeezing the quads, squeezing those feet together and pointing the toe across the room. This is our RX of our hollow hold. From here, we can come into our tuck position so we can have those knees tucked in, hands off to the sides. From here, if you want a little bit more of a challenge, you can extend one leg out, and then you can swap those legs as well too for positions. You can also have your hands overhead in these positions, and that whole time we're keeping the shoulders pulled up, we're keeping that tummy tight, driving that low back through the floor with our hollow hold today. Handstand